Ladies, let me tell you a secret. Most men will never admit. The moment you stop chasing him, he starts chasing you. The moment you go silent, his mind gets loud. And the more you ignore him, the more he gets obsessed with you. Why? Because mystery is power. And power is attractive. Don't believe me then, listen closely. Because by the end of this, you'll never look at a man the same way again. Ladies, if there's one truth about men that remains undefeated, it's this. What they can't figure out, they can't forget. Mystery drives men absolutely crazy. I'm totally talking to the female listeners. Can you fathom what this means? We can't figure this out. Men don't follow right and left. They fight back and forth. If they spit and scream, what makes them feel more at ease is kindness. The natural kind, the mystery that comes when a woman knows her worth so deeply, she doesn't feel the need to explain it. She walks into a room, doesn't try too hard, doesn't overshare, doesn't chase attention, and suddenly every eye follows her, not because she begged for it, but because her silence spoke louder than a toy. If the toy just sits there lifeless as interest, but the moment that toy flickers, just out of reach, suddenly he's alert, focused, obsessed now. Don't get it twisted, you're not a toy, you're a queen, but the point is humans chase what moves away, and when you're not constantly explaining yourself, when you're not posting your every emotion online, when you're not always available at the snap of a text, he starts to imagine, and imagination, darling, is addictive. There's a woman I know, corporate, classy, magnetic, every guy in the office wanted her attention, but she never flirted, never overshared, just polite, focused, and always dressed like she had somewhere better to be. She didn't try to outshine anyone. She didn't gossip. She just moved with grace. And you know what? Every single man wanted to be the one to figure her out, but no one could. And that's what made her unforgettable. You see, when you're mysterious, you leave room for curiosity, and curiosity is the root of obsession. Have you ever watched a movie that didn't explain everything, one that made you think, even after the credits rolled? That's the kind of woman you become when you don't reveal your entire soul in the first hour. You don't need to tell him your every move, your every thought, or your entire past. You only need to tell him your every move, your every thought, or your entire past. Let him earn those pieces of you one layer at a time. Because when something is rare, it becomes valuable, and when something is mysterious, it becomes desired. Look at your own life. The guy who's still in your mind today, was it the one who texted you back in 1 second and told you everything, or was it the one who made you wonder, the one who had layers you couldn't fully read? That mystery kept you up, that mystery made you think, and now it's your turn to be that energy, that woman who doesn't need to beg, doesn't need to explain, doesn't need to compete. Stop handing out full access to people who haven't earned a preview. Stop updating him on your every mood, your every move, your every mistake. Let him wonder why you didn't reply. Let him think about what you're doing, not to play games, but because you're not a game, you are a journey, and only a man willing to explore with patience and purpose deserves to walk that path. Mystery is not manipulation. Mystery is protection. It's preserving your energy. It's knowing that your story is not a broadcast, it's a treasure, and only those who come with respect, consistency, and genuine care deserve to know it. A woman who doesn't rush to impress, who doesn't overshare, who walks with peace and purpose. She doesn't just catch attention, she keeps it. Because she becomes the question his mind keeps asking long after the conversation ends. There's a language more powerful than words, a language every woman must learn to master if she wants to be unforgettable. And that language is silence, because sometimes silence speaks louder than screaming. Sometimes your quiet is the loudest sound he'll ever hear. And when you stop explaining, stop texting, stop trying to be understood, that's when you stop controlling. Sometimes the balance of glass is now struck, the balance of glass is now struck, the balance of glass is now Struck the balance of glasses, 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 now struck when he starts hearing every word you never said. Silence is not weakness, silence is not weakness. The storm before the realization, when you go quiet, when you stop reacting, you give him space to reflect, and that space it turns into obsession. Suddenly he's sitting there wondering what happened, why did she pull away, why is she not reacting like she used to? That silence becomes the echo of your self-respect. Imagine a radio station. When there's static noise, you tune out, but the moment there's total silence, you pay attention, you wonder. If something's wrong, something's missing, that's what your silence does. It disrupts his comfort, it breaks his rhythm, it forces him to confront what he tried to ignore. That's why when you walk away quietly, without drama, without chaos, you leave him haunted. Think about this. Have you ever had an argument with someone and you poured your heart out, cried, begged, screamed, and it changed nothing, but then one day you said nothing, you just walked away, no closure, no final text, no last voice note. And that's the moment he snapped. Why? Because silence is not absence, it's a mirror. And when a man has to face that mirror without your voice shielding him from the truth, he finally hears everything you tried to say before. I once knew a woman who stopped texting her man after years of being the emotional anchor. She didn't scream. She didn't throw his faults in his face. She just went silent. Days passed, then weeks, and suddenly this man who was always too busy was blowing up her phone, leaving long messages apologizing. Why? Because in her silence he heard her strength. He realized she ran the cause. She no longer needed to be understood. She had understood herself. Silence also makes your standards louder. When you don't chase, don't beg, don't explain, he begins to see what kind of woman you are. Not the desperate type, not the clingy type, but the woman who doesn't entertain disrespect, doesn't tolerate emotional crumbs, and refuses to lower her volume. For someone who refuses to listen, silence draws a line bold and clear. You either step up or step aside. Even in everyday life, silence speaks. Think of the friend who used to always be available, always texting back, always listening, and suddenly she stops. That shift is felt. Her absence feels heavy, and now you value her more, not because she changed, but because she stopped giving more than she received. It's no different in love. Men start missing you when your energy is no longer theirs on demand. Let's be real, men are used to noise. The world screams for their attention. Women call, demand, plead. But when you become the woman who doesn't chase, who goes silent, not out of pain, but out of power, you become the mystery in a world full of noise. That silence will sit with him longer than your words ever did. He'll play back every memory in his mind, trying to decode what he did wrong, what he missed, what you're thinking. And that's when he'll realize he doesn't miss your words, he misses your presence, he misses your laughter, he misses the way you showed up without asking. Because your silence, it wasn't empty, it was full of everything he took for granted. And now that it's gone, it's deafening. You don't find diamonds on sidewalks, you don't stumble upon gold in your backyard, you don't scroll past masterpieces on every screen. Why? Because value is always wrapped in rarity, and that's true not just for treasures in the ground or paintings on a wall. It's true for you. When you're too available, too accessible, too present, you become familiar. And let's be honest, fascination, but when you become rare, you become unforgettable. A woman who is always online, always replying, always available at the snap of a finger may feel like she's showing love, but she's actually giving away her power. When he knows you'll pick up on the first ring, that you'll say yes before he even finishes asking, that you'll drop your day for him without hesitation, he stops earning you. And the moment a man doesn't have to earn you, he stops valuing you. Let's break it down with something as simple as coffee. If you could get the best artisanal coffee in the world on every street corner, you wouldn't think twice about it. But if there was only one cafe tucked away in some hidden corner of a city and people lined up every morning just to get a cup, suddenly that coffee becomes sacred. That's what rarity does. It demands attention, it commands respect, and it never chases you. See, availability is cheap, but presence, that's powerful. When a woman pulls back, not to manipulate, but to protect her energy, she changes the game. She no longer says yes to last minute plans. She's not always scrolling, not always watching his stories, not always the first to comment or call. She has a life, a mission, a piece she's not willing to trade, and that is the woman a man cannot get out of his head. A girl I knew used to be the yes woman, always free, always there. She confused her open heart with being overly available, and guess what? The more she gave, the more she was taken for granted, until one day she changed. She stopped being everywhere, she stopped being predictable. He focused on her goals, surrounded herself with purpose, and suddenly they all came back. Every man who left suddenly missed her. Why? Because her value skyrocketed the moment her presence became a privilege, not a guarantee. Let me tell you something bold. A woman who respects her time, her space, her emotions becomes a mystery. And men crave mystery. They don't chase the loudest, they chase the rarest. The woman who doesn't overshare, who doesn't attend every party, who doesn't respond within seconds, she becomes something to work for. Because she's not just giving herself away, she's choosing who gets to be close to her. Even in luxury fashion, why do people go crazy over limited editions? Because it's not just about the item, it's about access. And when access is limited, desire increases. Apply that same principle to your soul. You are not here to be consumed endlessly. You are not here to be always ready, always giving, always proving. You are here to be chosen because you chose yourself first. And option. Don't be afraid to walk away when you're being treated like an option. Don't be afraid to disappear when you're not seen for your full worth, because the moment you step back, the moment you reclaim your energy, the moment you stop being everywhere, he starts to notice the silence. He starts to remember the impact of your presence, because your value is not in being convenient. It's in being consequential. Let the world chase what's common. You be the woman who redefine this rare. Because when you're rare, you don't just attract attention, you inspire transformation. There's a moment, a powerful silent moment, when you stop reacting. Stop replying, stop reaching out, and in that moment, something magical happens. The power shifts. You're no longer dancing to his rhythm. You're moving to your own. When you ignore, you're not just withholding attention, you're reclaiming your value and vara. The most dangerous woman a man will ever meet is the one who learns to walk away from what doesn't serve her. Ignoring isn't about games, it's about boundaries. It's about knowing that your energy is sacred, and not everyone deserves a front row seat to your life. When you stop feeding his ego, when you stop validating his half efforts, you force him to confront a truth he's been avoiding. He was never in control. You just allowed him to think he was. Have you ever seen a cat chase a laser light that red dot zigzags and the cat goes wild trying to catch it? That's how men act when you become unpredictable, when you stop answering the second they call, when you don't chase suddenly. Coke is a drug, and when you cut it off, they crave you like oxygen. There was a woman who used to message her guy all the time, morning text, night calls, constant check-ins, and he gave less until one day she just stopped. No fight, no drama, just silence. No good morning, no how are you, no digital breadcrumbs, and suddenly he panicked. He started showing up, calling, asking mutual friends if she was okay. Why? Because she shifted the power. She wasn't chasing anymore. She was choosing. People confuse love with obsession and obsession with attention. But let me tell you this, when you ignore him, you force him to question what he thought was secure. You wake him up. You make him realize he never had a hold on you. You were just being generous. And the moment you pull back that generosity, that's when he starts feeling the loss. Imagine two magnets. When one pulls away, the other is drawn closer. That's human psychology. We value what's slipping from our grip. So when you step back, not out of hate, not out of spite, but out of self-respect, you ignite a fire in his mind. He starts asking himself questions he never bothered to before. Why isn't she texting? Did I do something wrong? Is she over me? Has she found someone else? That storm in his head, that's your power. Speaking in silence, even in everyday life. You'll see this pattern. The employee who was always overworked, always available, always saying yes, was often taken for granted. But the day she started saying no, setting limits, protecting her peace, she got promoted, she got noticed. Why? Make you heartless. It makes you whole again. It makes you powerful. It reminds you that sometimes the loudest move a woman can make is to say nothing at all. Your energy is not infinite. It's an investment. Every thought you give, every emotion you pour, every hour you spend is a currency. And just like you wouldn't give your hard-earned money to someone who constantly wastes it, you must stop giving your energy to people who drain you. Your attention is expensive. Your love is a luxury. And when you start treating your energy like wealth, the whole world starts treating you like royalty. Think of it like that. As you walk into a high-end boutique, there's a vibe, as a value. It's a grace in the air. You don't just touch things randomly. You don't act recklessly. You respect the pure. You create a space for love. Space. That's how your energy should feel when you walk into a room. So deliberate, so powerful that people adjust themselves in your presence. Because when you value your energy, others have no choice but to match that frequency or exit your space. A woman once told me, I used to chase love like it was a job. I was exhausted, always texting first, always explaining myself, always trying to fix someone else's broken soul while mine was falling apart. And then one day she stopped, she paused, she realized she was going broke emotionally by giving credit to people who never paid her back. In effort that day, she changed her currency. She chose to invest only where there was growth, not loss. That shift, it made her magnetic. Your energy has the power to light up rooms or burn you out. And every time you spend it on someone who doesn't appreciate it, you're losing a part of yourself, that friend who only calls when she needs something, that man who only replies when it's convenient for him, that workplace that drains you without appreciation. They are expensive liabilities, and your soul can't afford them anymore. Even in nature, energy is sacred. The sun doesn't shine for just one flower, it shines on all, but it moves on. The sun is not a flame for just one flower, it shines on all, but it moves on. So the sun moves. Oh, your flower, it shines on all, but it moves on. The sun calls for shade on a snow. When it snows, it gets a bit. It doesn't beg the trees to grow, it simply offers its light. That's how your energy should operate. Give freely, but don't beg to be received. Shine brightly, but don't dim for For anyone who refuses to bask in your light, you are not here to prove your worth through exhaustion. Let's talk about phones. You wouldn't let your phone battery hit 1% every single day. Would you? You'd plug it in, you'd protect it, you charge it. Now ask yourself, why don't you do that for your soul? Why don't you unplug from people, situations, and relationships that are draining your battery with zero intention of recharging you? Your energy isn't just something you give, it's something you must protect like your life depends on it, because it does. When you walk into a room, you bring more than beauty, you bring a vibe, a presence, a frequency that shifts the atmosphere. But if you're constantly pouring into people who can't hold water, you'll find yourself empty, and emptiness leads to bitterness. Protect your spirit before it breaks. Choose to be around people who don't just take your energy but multiply it, people who see your light and reflect it back. That's real wealth. You are the currency, you are the abundance, and not everyone deserves to be in your emotional economy. Some people are debt, some are bankruptcy in disguise, but some are investments. Learn the difference, protect your value, because once you realize your energy is your currency, you stop begging to be seen and stop owning the room without a word. There's a fire that burns in silence, a quiet storm behind a woman's eyes when she chooses herself over a man who expected her to beg. And let's be honest, men don't miss the woman who cries, calls, and clings. No, they miss the woman who walks away and doesn't look back. They miss the woman who doesn't chase, doesn't check up, doesn't fall apart without him. The woman who goes on living like he never broke her, never mattered, never existed. That's the woman who haunts him, because a bonus is louder than 1,000 words. When she stops showing up in his notifications, stops reacting to his games, stops proving her love, he starts to feel the he once took for granted. And that's when the regret hits, not when she's crying, but when she's glorying without him. You see, the woman who doesn't miss him becomes a mystery. He can't decode a memory. He can't replace a loss. He can't forget there's a girl who used to text him every night, checking in, saying good night, pouring her heart into unread messages he ignored. He brushed her off until one night there was no message, no calls, just silence. And that silence echoed louder than any argument. Days turned to weeks. He scrolled through her stories. She was living, laughing, leveling up, that smile unbothered, that glow untouched, that energy untamed. Suddenly he missed what he once overlooked. But it was too late. She didn't miss him back. When a woman stops missing a man, she reclaims her power. It's not bitterness, it's brilliance. It's not revenge, it's rebirth, because missing someone is energy. And once you stop giving that energy to the past, you start investing it in your future. And that's when you become unstoppable. The same man who once thought you'd never leave becomes the man wondering how you moved on so fast. And the truth, you didn't move fast, you just finally moved in the right direction, away from what broke you. Everyday people give their energy to the wrong things, checking his last scene, overanalyzing his words, wondering who he's with. But the woman who learns to stop wondering starts winning. She directs that attention inward, goes to the gym, builds her business, connects with her soul. And while he's looking back, she's building forward. He's missing her while she's manifesting more. That's the kind of woman that lives rentry in his mind, the one who grew in silence, not the one who begged for love. Think about it like this. The most memorable movie scene isn't the one filled with noise. It's the one where everything goes quiet, the pause before the twist, the silence before the revelation. That's what a woman's absence does to a man. It creates space for realization, space for guilt, space for longing. She's not the drama, she's the distance. And in that distance, he finally feels her value. There was a woman who once said, I kept thinking he'd miss me if I stayed available, but it wasn't until I disappeared that he noticed I was ever there. That sentence holds power, because it's never your presence that teaches a man your worth. It's your absence, the moment he can't reach, you can't predict, you can't feel your energy anymore. That's when the word goes. Panic begins. He doesn't miss your messages. He doesn't miss your memes. He doesn't miss your faces, your face. He doesn't miss your faces, your face. He's your face. He doesn't miss your messages. He doesn't miss your face. He doesn't miss your face. He doesn't miss your case. Face. He doesn't miss your 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 face. He misses the attention. He misses the validation. But most of all, he misses the version of himself that mattered to you, because now he doesn't. So when you stop missing him, something deeper happens. You rewrite your story. You tell the universe, I'm no longer a woman who settles for almost. You no longer crave closure. You are the closure. You're not sitting by the phone. You're sitting on a throne, because when a woman stops waiting, stops aching, stops missing a man who never chose her fully, she becomes unforgettable. Not because she begged to stay, but because she had the strength to leave and never look back. There comes a moment in every woman's life when she realizes she was never asking for too much. She was just asking the wrong person. And that realization, that's the beginning of the storm. That's when she stops being the echo of someone else's validation and starts becoming the voice of her own revolution. You don't need to be louder, sweeter, smaller, or more agreeable to be loved. You just need to be you in all your raw, unapologetic, untamed glory, because the truth is, real power is not in making someone love you. Real power is when you stop needing them to let them say you've changed. Let them call you cold, heartless, arrogant. That's fine. Let them whisper, because queens aren't bothered by whispers. They walk through fire with heels on and a smile while the world watches in awe. And maybe, just maybe, the man who once thought he had you figured out will sit in silence, wondering how the woman he thought was weak became the one he can't reach anymore. That's the power of growth. That's the power of choosing yourself down. They miss the woman who doesn't miss them because she's the one said, that's who I've been waiting for. You are the storm and the calm, the fire and the flame, the lesson and the legend. You don't chase, you attract. You don't beg, you believe. You don't shrink, you rise. And no man, not the one who left you on read, not the one who couldn't commit, not the one who played games with your heart. None of them deserve to sit at your throne unless they know how to worship a woman who knows her worth. So I just want to say to you, none of them deserve to sit at your throne unless they know how to worship a woman who knows how to worship. A woman who knows how to worship, a woman who knows how to worship, and not a woman who knows how to worship your marriage. So stand tall, adjust your crown, walk away from what doesn't serve you, not in anger but in grace. Let the world wonder how a woman like you exists, and let the wrong ones regret ever letting you go, because the woman who learns to stop missing him becomes the woman the world can't stop missing. And that, my love, is what it truly means to glow up in silence and reign in power. Who found freedom in her silence. She's the one who glows without seeking light from anyone. She's the one who understands that her worth was never up for negotiation. Let them chase the noise. You become the calm. The more you detach, the more magnetic you become, cause you're no longer trying to be seen. You're focused on building something so powerful the world has no choice but to look every time you hold back from sending that message. Every time you walk away from someone who took your love for granted, every time you choose solitude over temporary company, you are planting seeds of a future so beautiful your past won't even recognize you. The man you thought you needed to complete you will become the lesson that shaped you. Because sometimes God removes people from your life not as punishment but as protection, and your silence is the loudest prayer of all. Remember this, the woman who doesn't need validation from anyone is the most feared individual on the planet. That's not just a quote, that's a lifestyle, that's a mission. And if you're listening to this, I want you to burn this into your soul. You are not too much, you are not hard to love, you are not broken, you were just giving pieces of yourself to people who couldn't carry the weight of your greatness. Now walk like you own the world, because you do talk like every word you speak is sacred, because it is show up like you're the prize, because you've always been. The game was never about getting him, never. The real game is when he sees you thriving without him, when he realizes the woman who loved him deeply now loves herself deeper. And nothing shakes a man more than a woman who walks away in silence and never returns, not because she hates him, but because she finally saw her own reflection.